In 5.5, we're going to talk about dividing polynomials. We're going to start by taking a look at dividing a polynomial by a monomial. And if you remember what a monomial is, it means one term. So you'll see in number 1, it is 4x cubed. So that's one term. With a monomial, just like any other number dividing a polynomial, what you're going to do is you're going to divide each one individually. So I'm going to take the 10x to the fourth minus 7x cubed plus 12x, and I'm simply going to divide each term by the 4x cubed. And what you're going to get is 5 over 2, and the x to the fourth over x cubed reduces down to x. 7 over 4 you can't reduce, but the x cubes cancel out, and then the 12 over 4 reduces to a 3. It's a plus sign right there, a 3. And then if you notice what the x is, there would be 2 x's left over, or 3 minus 1 with 2 left in the denominator. And that's how you divide with monomials. Dividing by polynomials, meaning more than one term at the bottom, is going to be a little bit more complicated. What I want you to do is I want you to do the following division problem. 825 divided by 3. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to just do the long division of it. As you would set this up, you would put the 825 underneath and the 3 on the outside. And what you would do is you would see how many times 3 goes into 8. So you're really dividing it. So we divide 8 by 3, and we know it goes in twice. Now we know there's a remainder, but we'll talk about that in a second. But 3 goes into 8 2 times. And what we do is we put that 2 up on the top right here. And then in the long division process, we take this 2 and you multiply it by 3. So we are multiplying. We multiply 2 times 3 and we get 6. And then what happens is we take that 6 and we put it underneath. And finally, what we do is we do subtraction. We do the 8 minus 6, which we're going to show over here. And you get 2. What happens then is we drop down the 2, and we see how many times 3 goes into 22. So we basically go back to division. 22, or 3 goes into 22 7 full times. The 7 goes on top, and then I multiply the 7 times the 3, and I get 21. And it becomes a cycle. We divide, multiply, subtract, and then we go through the whole process again. Drop down the 5, 3 goes into 15 5 times, and we get 275. Now, just real quickly, let's, instead of saying a 5 right there, let's make this a 6. It still goes in 5 times, but when we go to subtract, we have this 1. Think about what you do with that. Now, there's lots of things. We can always make zeros and keep going, but another way we talked about is this is called the remainder, and it goes over the divisor. So it would be 275 and 1/3. This process of divide, multiply, subtract is the same process we're going to use for long division. And we're going to apply it here with the polynomial division. So what's going to happen is I have 2x squared plus 17x plus 30 divided by x plus 6. What you're going to do is you're going to set it up the same way. The divisor goes on the outside and the numerator goes underneath. Now there's a few special things that happen here, but very similar. I'm going to do division, multiplication, and then subtraction. What I'm going to divide is I'm going to divide the first term by the first term in the divisor. So that's what we're dividing. I'm going to do it at the side so you can see what we're doing. 2x squared divided by x equals 2x. And remember what happened with that before. That went right here. So that was 2x. Once we're done with the division step, what you're going to do is you're going to do multiplication. You're going to take the number on top, multiply it by the entire divisor. That's a little bit different than the division step, so note that. 2x times the quantity x plus 6 equals 2x squared plus 12x. And then that goes underneath. Now the idea of this is that this first term will cancel out when we go to do subtraction. Now I'm going to do subtraction right underneath here. 2x squared minus 2x squared, that completely cancels out. And then 17x plus minus a 12x is 5x. And then I've done the subtraction. So then what happens after I do those three? If you remember, we just repeat. Divide, multiply, subtract. Now this time, what I'm going to divide is I'm going to divide this new number, 5x, by the number here. 5x divided by x equals 5. It's a positive 5, so I do plus 5. From there, I'm going to take the 5, the new number I just put up there, and I multiply it again by the entire divisor. 5 times x plus 6. That's going to give you 5x plus 30. I'm going to drop this down, and I'm going to put the 5x plus 30 right here. And I'll subtract 5x minus 5x, 30 minus 30, and it's 0, so I have no remainder. So my answer ends up being 2x plus 5. Now, real quickly, if this would have had a number here instead of 0, I would have taken this number and I would have taken the number and put it over the divisor. And then this would have been part of my answer at the end if there was a remainder. There is another video if you want more practice. These types of problems are really about just practicing and making sure you can understand the process over and over again. They get a little tricky, but usually by a couple you understand what's going on.